This is the 3D VIEW-MASTER Bible story, Moses and the Plagues of Egypt. VIEW-MASTER Reel 1, Picture 1. The Bible tells how Jacob and his sons, with their families, went to the land of Egypt to live. After Jacob and his sons died, their children and their children's children grew in number until they became a great people known as the Hebrews, or the people of Israel. Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, was afraid of the Hebrews because there were so many. He set taskmasters over the Hebrews to make them work hard, making bricks, building cities, and tending the fields. But the more cruelly the Hebrews were treated, the more they seemed to prosper. Finally, Pharaoh commanded his people, "Every son that is born to the Hebrews he shall cast into the Nile, but you shall let every daughter live." Picture 2. What a terrible time it was for the Hebrew mothers. Egyptian soldiers went throughout the land looking for newborn Hebrew boys. They snatched boy babies from the arms of their anguished mothers and threw them into the river Nile to drown. Picture 3. At this time, a baby boy was born to a Hebrew mother named Jochebed and her husband Amram. He was a sturdy, handsome child, and she hid him from the Egyptians for 3 months. When he was too big to hide, the desperate mother put him in a basket and placed it among the tall papyrus reeds, or bulrushes, that grew beside the river Nile. "Stay close by," she told her weeping daughter, Miriam, "and see what happens to your little brother." Picture 4. Soon afterward, Pharaoh's daughter with her servant maidens came to the river to bathe. She saw the basket and sent a maid to fetch it. When she saw the baby, she pitied it. Miriam, who had been watching among the reeds, stepped forward. "Shall I go and call you a nurse from the Hebrew woman to nurse the baby for you?" she asked. "Go," said Pharaoh's daughter. So Miriam brought her mother, and Pharaoh's daughter said, "Take this child and nurse him for me, and I will pay you wages." Pharaoh's daughter named the baby Moses, which means drawn out of the water. Picture 5. Moses' mother knew that when he grew old enough, she would have to give him back to Pharaoh's daughter. But she was happy, for this would give him the opportunity to be raised in the Egyptian court. Meanwhile, little Moses played with his sister Miriam and his old brother Aaron. Picture 6. When Moses was a little older, his mother took him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he grew up in the palace of Pharaoh. But he was not always happy. He knew that he was a Hebrew, and he saw how heavily burdened his people were and how hard they had to work for their Egyptian masters. Picture 7. One day, when Moses had grown up, he saw an Egyptian overseer beating a Hebrew. Moses was so angry that he smote the Egyptian and killed him. He hid the body in the sand. The next day he found 2 Hebrews fighting and tried to separate them. But one of the men said, "Who made you a prince and a judge over us? Do you intend to kill me as you killed the Egyptian?" Then Moses was afraid and thought, "Surely Pharaoh will know I have killed the Egyptian, and he will seek my life too." So Moses fled from Egypt and went to Midian, a country which lay to the east of Egypt across the Red Sea. VIEW-MASTER Reel 2. Picture 1. He stopped to rest at a well. Coming toward him were the 7 daughters of Jethro, the priest of Midian, leading their father's sheep. Some shepherds came and tried to drive them away, but Moses made the shepherds leave and helped the girls water their flock. When they went home and told their father, Jethro told them to invite Moses to be his guest. Moses came and, at Jethro's invitation, stayed to live with them. He married Jethro's daughter, Zipporah. Picture 2. One day, while Moses was tending his father-in-law's sheep on Mount Horeb, he saw a strange sight. A bush was burning with fire, yet the flames did not consume it. As Moses came near in wonder, a voice called to him from the bush, "Moses, Moses!" "Here am I," Moses replied. "I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob," said the voice. "I have seen the affliction of my people in Egypt. I know their sufferings, and I have come down to deliver them from the Egyptians and to bring them to a good land, a land flowing with milk and honey. Come, I will send you to Pharaoh, that you may bring my people out of Egypt." "How will they know God has spoken to me?" asked Moses. "They will not believe me." "Take the rod in your hand and cast it to the ground," God commanded. Moses did so, and the rod became a writhing serpent. "Now pick up the serpent by the tail," said God. Moses obeyed, and it became a rod again. "Your brother Aaron is coming to meet you," said God. "Go to Egypt and gather the elders of Israel together and tell them what I have said." Picture 3. Moses and Aaron returned to Egypt and gathered together the elders of the people of Israel and told them what God had said. Aaron cast his rod on the ground, and it became a serpent. All the people believed, and they bowed their heads and worshipped the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Picture 4. A new Pharaoh ruled Egypt by now, but he was even more cruel than the old one. Moses and Aaron went to him and said, "Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, let my people go." But Pharaoh only sneered. Picture 5. Pharaoh commanded his overseers, "Do not give the Hebrews straw to make bricks. Let them gather their own straw. But they must continue to make as many bricks each day as before." The poor Hebrews now had to work twice as hard. The women gathered straw while the men made bricks. Even the children helped. If a Hebrew even paused to rest, he was beaten by an Egyptian. Picture 6. Then Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh again. To show him the power of God, Aaron cast his rod down and it became a serpent. But Pharaoh summoned his magicians, and they also were able to make their rods turn into serpents. Then, behold, Aaron's serpent swallowed up the magician's serpents. Picture 7. Then God said to Moses, "Pharaoh's heart is hardened. He refuses to let the people go. Wait for him in the morning by the river's brink, and tell Aaron to stretch his rod over the waters of the Nile, and all the water in Egypt shall turn to blood, even in the water vessels." So So Moses and Aaron obeyed, and Aaron stretched his rod over the waters of the Nile. All the water in Egypt turned to blood, and the fish in the Nile died, and the people could not drink from it. But Pharaoh still would not let the Hebrews grow. VIEW-MASTER Reel 3. Picture 1. Then God told Moses, "Let Aaron stretch out his rod over the waters, and I shall plague Egypt with frogs, which shall come up into the houses, into the bedchambers, and into the ovens and the kneading bowls." So Aaron stretched forth his rod, and the frogs covered the land. Then Pharaoh called Moses and Aaron and said, "Entreat the Lord to take away the frogs, and I will let the people go." So Moses prayed to God, and the frogs died. But Pharaoh hardened his heart again, and would not let the people of Israel go. Picture 2. God told Moses to warn Pharaoh that, if he still refused to listen, the cattle, horses, camels, and all other domestic animals of Egypt would be smitten with a severe plague. And it came to pass, all the animals of the Egyptians died, but the animals of the Hebrews were spared. Picture 3. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch forth your hand toward heaven, that there may be hail in all the land of Egypt, upon man and beast and every plant of the field." Moses obeyed, and God sent lightning and hail, which struck down everything in the field, men, beasts, crops, and trees. Picture 4. God sent other plagues on Egypt also. He sent swarms of lice and flies. He caused boils to break out in sores on men and beasts throughout the country. None of these softened Pharaoh's heart, but when he saw the lightning and hail, he sent for Moses and Aaron and said, "I have sinned. The Lord is in the right. Entreat him to stop the thunder and hail, and I will let you go." God listened to Moses, and the thunder and hail stopped. But again Pharaoh hardened his heart. God sent other plagues. Locusts covered the face of Egypt and ate everything. After that came a plague of darkness, so thick that no one could see for 3 days. Still Pharaoh was stubborn. Then God told Moses, "I will bring one more plague upon Egypt, and afterward he will let you go. About midnight, all the firstborn in Egypt shall die, from the firstborn son of Pharaoh to the firstborn of the humblest servant, and all the firstborn of the cattle shall die also." God told Moses and Aaron how the Hebrews would be spared from this plague. "Let each family select a lamb without blemish and kill it. Dip a punch of the herb called hyssop into the blood and touch the top and sides of the door of each house. The Lord will pass through to slay the Egyptians, and when he sees the blood on the door, he will pass over the door and spare the family inside the house." God also said, "You shall observe this rite as an ordinance for you and for your children forever. It is the Lord's Passover. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread from the 14th day of this month of Abib until the 21st day. This month shall be the first month of the year from now on." Then Moses called all the elders of Israel and repeated to them God's instructions. Picture 5. The people obeyed. Each family killed its Passover lamb and touched the top and sides of the front door of the house with the blood of the lamb, according to God's command. That night each family ate the flesh of its lamb, roasted, with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They ate in haste, each man with his sandals on his feet and his staff in his hand. Picture 6. At midnight the Lord smote all the firstborn in Egypt, from the royal family to the lowest captive in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of the cattle, and there arose a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where one was not dead. And Pharaoh rose up in the middle of the night, and sent for Moses and Aaron, and said, Rise up, go forth from among my people, both of you and the people of Israel. Take your flocks and your herds, and be gone from Egypt. Picture 7. So the people of Israel took their dough before it was leavened, because their kneading bowls were tied up inside the mantles on their shoulders. They rounded up their flocks and herds, and began the long journey out of Egypt on foot, about 600,000 men, besides women and children. It was the Hebrew month of Abib in the early spring, and Moses took the bones of Joseph with him. For Joseph, before he died in Egypt almost 400 years ago, had told the people of Israel that one day they would return from Egypt to the land which God had promised to Abraham and to his descendants. And Joseph had made them promise to bury him in that land where Joseph was born. The people of Israel, with Moses leading them, marched toward the wilderness. The Lord went before them by day and in a pillar of cloud to lead them along the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light. Thus they began their exodus to the promised land, a land of milk and honey. We want to add new videos every day, so please subscribe to our channel.
And if you had fun, thumbs up